Hello, Michelle Bellino. In preparation for your presentation at the 2021 UNESCO DCMÉT Chair Symposium, thank you for participating in this interview. Please tell us about yourself.
Thank you so much, Andre. I'm a faculty member at the University of Michigan School of Education. I live in Ann Arbor, Michigan in the United States with my partner, my son, and several animals. I think you might see some of them even during our brief conversation. And I consider myself part of two fairly linked fields of scholarship, one being anthropology of education and the other comparative and international education. Within those spaces, I've been really drawn to the educational experiences of young people, both in and outside of schools, in contexts impacted by armed conflict and displacement. Places where conditions of conflict, and in some cases, formalized processes aimed at peace building and transitional justice distinctly shape young people's educational experiences. They permeate educational structures, they inform and in some cases impede curriculum and pedagogy, and on and on. And in these settings, I've been interested in how young people develop a sense of who they are and who they can be as civic actors, how they learn what it means to participate actively and critically as a citizen in a democracy that is experiencing conflict or instability or actively transitioning and breaking from historical injustice. And also how to better support young people in reaching their potential goals for social justice within the constraints and limitations of their contexts, which can vary greatly.
Thanks. And what are your major concerns about your country or region at the moment, or in general, your concerns?
Yeah, I'll speak predominantly about the US. Unfortunately, there is no shortage of concerns pertaining to the socio-political challenges experienced by young people in the US right now, and across the Americas when we look at the regional or hemispheric level. We are grappling with a long history of anti-Black racism and other forms and expressions of racism, which we need to keep working on in order to acknowledge a long history of violence and inequality that is part of our and part of many states' histories of nation building, and part of our educational institutions. And we need to keep doing this so that we can work towards reconciliation and justice. At the moment, we also have hundreds of thousands of Central Americans at the US-Mexico border fleeing conflict, poverty, forced criminality, environmental injustice, and extractive policies that US foreign and immigration policies have reinforced. And so the forces that impede these asylum processes and which cements systemic racism, they're located at the policy level. So there are critical structural barriers to address here, but these structures have also been put in place by people because of extreme nationalism, fear, and implicit assumptions about the value of some lives over others. So I see this as an opportunity to critically analyze coloniality, racial dominance, and the consequences of the choices that we make both as individuals and as a nation. And a way to recognize that if individual actions shape systems of injustice, we can also dismantle them and decide together what to put in their place.
Thanks. And what are your current sources of inspiration?
Yeah, so I'm currently working in collaboration with a wonderful group of young people located in Kakuma refugee camp in Kenya. These young people are learning and pursuing livelihood opportunities in a context of extreme scarcity and uncertainty, but also with an abundance of motivation and optimism to reshape democratic arrangements in their countries of origin, to create societies where conflict can be resolved peacefully. And in this context where young people are forced to compete for their material needs, for their basic resources, and for their fundamental rights, to see young people coming together to create something collective and to collectively mobilize around ways that they can support change in a space that was never meant to be a community, This really inspires me. Looking globally, we're seeing more young people take on really active and critical roles, speaking out against environmental injustice, inequity, racism, and other forms of oppression. And it's really remarkable to see the ways that young people are using their voice to participate in social justice movements, even in settings where there are so many constraints. To see the potential for young people to address and solve pressing, serious problems that they did not create, but which they will be subject to, and to see the ways that they are using their power and critical imagination to make change.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Michelle Bellino, for this interview.
Thank you very much.